Dwayne Johnson is the size of a truck, but is he strong enough to hurl a Brett Ratner movie to the top of the box office? You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of Hercules.
We have faith in you! Remember the deeds you have performed, the labors you have accomplished. Are you only the legend, or are you the truth? Behind the legend. Now, tell me, who are you? I am Hercules!
I don't know. The chains of hate forged as audiences watched X-Men The Last Stand in disbelief might be too strong for even The Rock to break. But maybe Ratner can turn things around? I mean, if we can forgive Zack Snyder for Sucker Punch, why can't this be Ratner's 300? Which, by the way, is probably how Ratner pitched this movie. And like 300, this Hercules is based on a comic, The Thracian Wars, by little-known publisher Radical Comics, who has managed to make a big splash in Hollywood. They were also behind Oblivion, helmed by Tron Legacy's Joseph Kosinski, and starred Tom Cruise. Interestingly, both these movies are ridiculously expensive, with Oblivion budgeted at $120 million and Hercules at $110 million. In theaters, Oblivion about broke even with a little under $300 million worldwide, as studios get about half of a film's box office, and budgets don't include advertising costs. Can Hercules realistically do better than $300 million, considering Scarlett Johansson's Lucy is expected to beat it at the box office opening weekend? Johnson does have a few box office hits on his resume in that ballpark, Journey 2, G.I. Joe 2, and the Fast and Furious movies. However, he only starred in one of those. Come on! The G.I. Joe brand is the star with that franchise. But here, can Johnson honestly count on the legend of Hercules to give him any kind of boost? The name of Hercules is certainly familiar to moviegoers, thanks to Kevin Sorbo, Disney, and Eddie Murphy. Yet the actual details of his legend, not so much. Audiences have already decided to pass on one Hercules this year, Rennie Harlan and Kellen Lutz's version, and that's probably a good thing as they kind of made up their own legend. Plus, a lot of moviegoers can't tell Hercules from Conan, and currently the Conan brand is struggling too, desperately trying to recapture its former glory days when Arnold Schwarzenegger donned the fur and horns. Surely this Hercules would love to claim that mantle as well, and maybe even blend in John Carter's, as Ratner is clearly taking visual cues from legendary comic book artist Frank Frazetta, who famously painted both Conan and Carter. And while Ratner works hard to prove himself, so does Johnson, training and tweeting like never before. As a result, there has been intense interest in Hercules online, but as we know from previous experiences, that doesn't always result in big box office, or a good movie.
Man, this is a kids' movie. What a shocker. Although, I have to say to the movie's credit, the kids in the screening that I attended loved this thing. Especially this little boy next to me, who I think was there alone. He was so adorable with his giant Slurpee, and he was like giving his own commentary during the entire film. And I would recommend that if anyone were to see this, they would find it infinitely more enjoyable if they had a little kid commentary during the film. This really is a film for families. Surprisingly so, considering all the pecs and, I have to say, boobage in the movie. But very little. You could take a kid to it, I think, no problem. So when I say Saturday morning cartoon, I mean it in the way that we're all familiar with. In a standard Saturday morning cartoon, not one of the standout ones. I mean, it's very formulaic in that regard. You've got the good-looking wise guy, the lone female on the team who can keep up with everyone else, but yet kind of hangs back. The cranky but lovable old guy. They're all there to a T. And I think that I wouldn't have been so disappointed in the movie if the trailer hadn't promised something totally different. I mean, where are my Frank Frazetta epic battle sequences? They're not in the movie. When you've seen the trailer, you've seen all the cool shots. As if the person cutting the trailer, it's not as if, that's what the person did. Whoever cut the trailer just went through the movie, took every cool shot and put it into the trailer and condensed it. That's what it is. If you just want the cool part of Hercules, you've seen it. The rest is really a family movie. And while I was watching it, I was like, now I'm starting to see why The Rock wants to be Shazam and why they think he could be Shazam. Although, if I was DC after seeing the results here, I would be a little worried. And I'm not just talking about the expected box office results. If you want to know more about why I feel that way, you can check out my spoiler review. So as I said, no epic battles. So what's there? Well, I don't want to ruin it again. You'll check out the spoiler review for that. But they do actually go in the complete opposite direction of epic mythological battles. Intentionally so. And that is a little interesting, but I think it would have been even more interesting if the film wasn't, I'm really sorry to say this, by the way, because I was so excited about it, but I have to say it, slow, predictable, and even a little boring at spots. So if a standard Saturday morning cartoon, live action, so be it, Hercules sounds good to you, then definitely see this movie. Or if you know a little kid who you think would really get a kick out of seeing Hercules like throw a horse, which was, but he didn't even really throw it, he just kind of tossed it over his shoulder. But still, a lot of little kids laughed at a lot of Hercules' feats of strength in the film. And little kid laughter is always infectious. So if you think you know a kid who would get a kick out of this, you should also go and see it. And I would see it in 3D because it made it a little more watchable, a little more interesting because it had some good 3D elements in it. So I think if you watched it in 2D, you might end up taking a nap. But otherwise, if you don't know any kids or if you're not into this kind of a story, you're not a total rock fan, then I'd say this is a total rental. And you maybe even might want to skip it, which is just so tragic. All right, so that's my review for Hercules. And again, if you want more details, you can check out my spoiler review or these other episodes right now.